I will present about introduction. Islam is a religion that practices a shumul or comprehensive way of life, where all its rules have been determined in every aspect of human life, which ranges from the question of faith, worship, and morality to community and state affairs that include economic, political, and social. Today's world shows that the more advanced the technology, the never things arise involving legal problems that never arose during the past scholars, and there was no legal answers to the problem in the words of the jurists of the past. The goal of sanctioning the law in Islam is to preserve the welfare of the people for the life of this world and hereafter.
Number 1. Illegal meat cutters. Import meat cutters frequently use devious tactics such as importing the same meat from legitimate sources and mixing halal status meat with meat that does not have a valid halal certificates. Next, beverage product that's similar to alcohol. Recently, the country was shocked by the production of a new non-alcoholic liquor product by a reputable liquor company. Worse still, when it is actively promoted by the relevant parties by using the misleading tagline of "Now you can," with the tagline placed close to other halal products, it is confusing because it seems to describe the product as halal status. Number 3 is sexual intimacy without sexual intercourse during menstruations. She wondered what the ruling against that act was. It is obligatory for them to pay fidyah or kafarah for that matter, and if fidyah is imposed, how should the implementation be done? Next, masturbation without obligatory rules, bath, and the status of prayer, fast, and marriage. She was curious about the status of her fast, marriage, and prayer at that time. Next, selling books that have not been printed. What is the ruling if he sells the books after he rewrite it with no new information added? Next, purchasing gold by installment. So from here, the one that pay installment are wondering, it is permissible to purchase gold by installment. For example, receive and use the gold first, then make the payment. Next, playing poker cards. There is confusing when some say that it is still haram even without gambling. Next, the status of roti telur, roti canai made by unwashed eggs. In the issue of roti canai telur, consumer must be concerned about the cleanliness of eggs because we are afraid that the eggs are unwashed and have najis on the egg shells, and that najis will fall on roti canai telur that the seller made. Next, men wearing part silk clothes. Many men have asked it is permissible for a man to wear a t-shirt in which fabric is blended with silk. Next, eating food waste in a chicken crop. Some are wondered what it is the ruling on eating leftover food in a chicken cage. Is the waste counted as feces? Next, putting a bell on farm animals. There is an issue that arose when there are some people told the farmer who rears cows that putting on a bell around the neck of cows is impermissible. And lastly, there's dressing a costume or cosplay. There are many types of costume or cosplay that are very popular nowadays, from those that do not reveal the aurat to exposing the aurat.
First, illegal meat cutter. In general, Fiqhiyyah scholar like Imam Nawawi conclude that the basic rule for the meat of slaughtered animals is haram, even if all of the animals follow Sharia legal slaughter standards, as outlined in the Department of Islamic Development Malaysia Standard Operating Procedure for halal certifications. Consuming imported meat with a halal logo given authorities is halal. Muslims who eat imported meat were to present the issue of the shubha imported meat are free from the legislation according to the discussion.
Beverage products that's similar to alcohol. Jumhur scholars agree that consuming any amount of alcohol, whether moderate or excessive, is forbidden. This is due to the fact that it has an intoxicating effect and causes memory loss, making it difficult to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The school of Imam Shafi'i holds that alcoholic beverage and other substances that can cause intoxication are forbidden. In this case, Muslims have been commanded to adhere to the principle of not doing something that resembles an infidel in something we are forbidden to do.
Sexual intimacy without sexual intercourse during menstruation. Al-Iqtizal was originally made to prevent having sexual relation. As a result, mubasharah, sexual intercourse between husband and wife without clothing, between the navel and the knee is forbidden since it leads to sexual intercourse. They believe that this proves that what is forbidden is merely intercourse, only a macro nature prohibition that encourages the party. Masturbation without obligatory goals. What is the status of prayer, fast, and marriage? This behavior is prohibited muscular for both men and women, and whoever masturbates without a necessity, whether a man or a woman, it is prohibited, and she or he should be punished with ta'zir for their act is a sin and transgression. According to fiqh, intentionally ejaculation semen through intercourse, masturbation, watching something that increases one's sexual desire, or unintentionally through dreams, or require anyone to take the compulsory bath. It is not a legal need for marriage to be in a pure state. As a result, a marriage that occurs while the woman is menstruating is an unclean state is legal as long as it satisfies the marital requirement. Men and women who are unclean are not permitted to enter marriage being a pure state. Without intercourse or ejaculation of the semen is one of the valid criteria for fasting. Selling goods that have not been printed. Under Malaysian law, under the Copyright Act 1987, creators of work have the sole right to regulate the use of their works for a set length of time. Previously, any reprinting or rewriting of work owned by others have to obtain the approval of the work's originator and publisher in advance as it relates to their rights. Failure to do so may result in a person breaking the Sharia ban against taking the right of others without permission. Some conditions and situations that are not subject to copyright infringements if the reprint is made for research, self-study, asking permission from the owner of the original work is authorized, as long as the title of the work or a source and its creator are included. Purchasing gold by installment. Intentionally, it was decided that buying something may be done with cash or in installments. If a transaction involves ribawi article, items that fall under the riba ruling, each participant engaged must pay special care so that he or she does not become involved in riba. The explanation is that sales and purchase must be made on the spot at a specific times regardless of whether possession is physical or constructive. There is a condition of delaying payment or delivery of the item. It falls under the category of riba al-nasiyah, which is riba that occurs as a result of a payment delay.
The ruling of playing poker cards. Some people play poker cards just for fun, without betting any real money or anything like that. Every type of wager is considered a sort of gambling. Even if there is no exchange of money involved, the vast majority of jurists still condemn them because they can foster hate and grudge and create a barrier that prevents people from remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Any activity that includes gambling or the wagering of money is expressly forbidden.
The status of roti telur, roti canai, made by unwashed egg. Unwashed egg, roti canai is generally halal to eat, even if the maker touches the egg shell during mixing the bread. That is, as long as the egg shell is clean before being included in the dough. In our mazhab Shafi'i, all animal feces, bird feces, and urine are feces, whether they come from an animal that is acceptable to be eaten or not. Everything is unclean and nasty to human nature, resulting in sickness and misery. The first rule regarding harmful items is haram.
The ruling of men wearing part Sikh clothes. According to Islamic law, it is forbidden for men to wear clothing made entirely of silk thread. It is forbidden for a man to wear clothing made with silk if the proportion of silk to other materials in the garment is greater than 50%. An exemption is made For young boys who choose to wear silk and rukhsah is extended to males who are experiencing difficulties and grave needs under certain circumstances. The ruling of eating food waste in a chicken coop. Sheikh Al-Ramli has stated that if the grain can be removed in its good condition, which if planted it can grow, then it is mutanajis and not najis. As a result, we are aware that the interior of any food, whether it be grains, nuts, fruits or anything else, if it is removed from the stomach of an animal in good condition, its skin is not broken and it retains its initial appearance, then the interior is still considered sacred and can be cleaned. The ruling of putting a bell on farm animal. Imam Ibn Hajar said in Sharah that putting a necklace around a camel's neck is makruh because there is evidence against it. Majority of scholars feel that it is makruh tanzih, while others argue that it is makruh tahrim. Imam Badruddin Al-Aini made this statement in reference to another opinion. In addition, according to a certain viewpoints, it is prohibited to place a bell on an animal if it is not required. It is acceptable if it is necessary or required. The ruling of dressing in a costume or cosplay. The law of joking around by dressing up as a clown is abominable. However, if there is a specific purpose such as learning and entertainment for children, there are some criteria that need to be met. First, do not abandon responsibilities and commitments by any means necessary. Second, not making one's dignity a joke. Third, don't lie in jokes. And fourth, not messing around with religious rules.
First, issue of illegal meat cutter. This is an endeavor to provide a more trustworthy product to the Muslim population. For example, Halal Jakim has created the smart halal apps to assist the general public, particularly Muslim, in locating halal product. Furthermore, they also do not share misleading information because false news may generate turmoil and chaos in society. For the issue of beverage product that's similar to alcohol, first, the recommendation to abstain from alcohol is more potent than the prohibition to drink it. This is because bans do not encompass other prohibitions associated with it, such as offering someone a drink or purchasing or selling it. Not all alcohol beverages are created equal. Furthermore, while alcohol obtained outside of the manufacturing process is not legally phased, it is haram to be consumed in its natural state because it is hazardous and can kill. Next, for the issue of sexual intimacy without sexual intercourse during menstruation for wife. This is a preventative strategy to avoid engaging in a sexual practice that are prohibited in the language of the Al-Quran, Hadith, and Ijma. Those who do so on purpose, on the other hand, are deemed wicked and are not obligated to pay fidyah or kafarah. Let them repent and enhance their virtuous activity such as almsgiving.
Next is the masturbation without obligatory goals. Three issues have in masturbation without the obligatory goals. First is the ruling of masturbation for the man and woman. This is because the person prayer is invalid if the mandatory watch is not taken, as the purity is one of the valid prerequisites for prayer. The second is the marriage in an impure state. This is because the marriage that takes place while the woman is menstruating or exciting, on the other hand, is lawful if the term and condition of marriage are met. That is the fasting while in janabah. This is because he must, however, take the customary bath to pray, or the bath is not required for his face.
Issue of selling books that have not been printed. According to the jury's anonymous decision, if the sale of a book is just to pay the cost of publishing, it is legal. But if the sale is for profit, it is not permitted without the authorization and permission of the relevant copyright owner. Particularly, the publisher is obtained to prevent taking others' right without permission. Finally, if the sale of the book simply covers the cost of printing, it is legal. However, if the goal to earn some profit, it is not permitted without approval and permission of the applicable copyright owner, particularly the publisher obtained. For the issue of purchasing gold by installment, the gold seller borrows his money for his gold to be sold. If the buyer does not want to buy the gold, he will not lend his money. In other situation, if the buyer is not provide a loan of cash by the buyer, he will not buy the gold. So, to encourage purchasers not to include their debts necessary unless necessary, while it is permitted to acquire other assets and property such as gold, if we have extra money after deducting our major expense, we must do so in cash.
The ruling of the pay poker card. We can play poker card if there is no element of gambling, fraud, and violation of Islamic law. It is advised to avoid the playing poker card is you are afraid that it may lead to social misjudgment because it's the widely utilized gambling item. It's better to play other sports such as badminton, futsal, and so on. So someone who has a good moral will avoid playing poker card.
Issue of the status of roti telur or roti canai made by unwashed eggs. The roti canai must be affected when the najis left in his palm influence the dough. As a result, it is not halal to eat since it is impure, or in other words, it violates the concept of halal tayyiban as mentioned. There is evidence to justify the prohibition of all filthy substance in the manner specified. As a result, we would like to remind all Muslim and food merchants to constantly maintain hygiene when producing, storing, processing, packing, and so on. So, a Muslim should be picky about the food he consumes so that it suits his spirit and improves his ibadah.
The ruling of the man wearing part silk clothes. It's possible for men to wear clothes mixed with sleep if their mixture is 50% or less. Besides, boys, men in emergency and urgent needs, such as skin disease, are allowed. Wearing the variety of the textile is okay, but the most important thing is that the garment cover the aurat, with required by Islam. The ruling of the eating food waste in a chicken crop. In the ruling of eating food waste in the chicken crop, this reason tend to argue for that the food waste found in the chicken cage is the agreement if it has changed its original shape and character. The subject should be totally investigated to ensure that the chicken to be cooked is washed first, ideally before cooking, as the is more in line with the Islamic concept of cleanliness. The ruling of the putting bell on farm animal. If there is no need, it is macro. If there is a need, such as if the animal are in danger of being taken or for other reason, is allowed. The reason for this that this good again the proper akidah. This will also ensure the farmer receive halal food and will be blessed by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala if they follow all of the Allah rules. The ruling of dressing in costume or cosplay is because Muslims live by the notion of leaving behind whatever is the unimportant in their life, and wearing a costume or cosplay does not give any benefit. Besides, wearing a costume or cosplay also can bring a slander to Islam. It's preferable to seek information rather than to engage in pointless activity.
In the conclusion, Islam places a high value on the permissibility or impossibility of food, transaction and other acts because it is considered in determining one's position before the creature. Jurists have based their opinion on the relevant legal methods on the issue of mixing food and legitimate and illegal business transactions. Although some jurists do not consider the legal method among the resources of Sharia, they are useful in knowing the rule of the Sharia, especially on the above matters. For example, if the meat of an animal that has been properly slaughtered is mixed with the meat of an animal killed by electricity. In this case, all meat is considered illegal for Muslim to eat.